Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. We're gonna watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome. We've had this little idea. I've actually had this idea for years. I've never actually acted on it before because I didn't quite know how I wanted to do it. But
And I got drunk last week and had this idea.
exactly. So we ended up, or we're putting the meeting of the minds together to get together to what we're tentatively calling DCOMANIA.
Yes.
Our 100 plus part look into the every single release Disney Channel original movie.
Disney has long been a passion of myself. I worked there for close to 9 months at Disney World, and I recognize I'm 50% brainwashed. If I see that castle, I'm going to shed like a single tear, like Glory style, when Denzel Washington's getting whipped and just one tear comes out and he's...
See, I'm not as brainwashed as you are, but these like Disney Channel original movies were one thing that I watched
just like religiously
every single time they came on.
Exactly,
as a kid.
And I remember like basing summers around the releases of new ones coming out.
Because they had quite a prodigious release schedule.
They did.
In the late '90s, early 2001, you end up having a one a month that they were cranking out.
Right. I remember fondly. It was the summer of 2003. I was on a road trip, and that was when we had like once a month we got Stuck in the Suburbs, and we got Tiger Cruise.
The Tiger Cruise. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But we start with humble beginnings because we do. Because there were movies released before this one. They were called Disney Channel premieres, because if you look up like the Wikipedia articles, like these are Disney Channel premieres, and a lot of them seem like Hallmark movies, and because like the Hallmark Channel was a much bigger. Hallmark Channel is not even a thing now.
It's still a channel, yeah.
It still exists, but it's not like a force.
They do that one like from the Heart Home Western series. They just have like 37 of them. I assume there's more of them now than there are Land Before Time. I believe they're probably in the industrial era now. They're no longer in the Old West.
Exactly, but like a lot of them. But even this one that we looked at, because like we caught it right as the credits were ending.
Right, that
it was a Hallmark production.
Yep, Hallmark production.
Retroactively, they have called this the first Disney Channel original movie,
and that movie is Under Wraps.
Under Wraps. Now, I am very nostalgic for this movie, and
I had managed to not see this. This is one of the few of these films I have never seen before.
And it astounds me, because unlike a lot of the other movies, like, they played this one a lot. Especially, more so around the Halloween time. You know, they got to get people in the Halloween spirit.
I just missed it. I always got the, like, gauntlet of my mom's dating a vampire.
My mom's gonna date with a vampire.
Phantom of the Megaplex. I've seen solid. All of the Halloween
Town movies, but no, this one was I've always remembered this movie, and I remember liking it a lot.
Okay,
but I guess
unlike several of these movies, I'm coming in with no nostalgia for this one. So
yeah, And also, I guess we start our talk with the movie. The movie has a very odd beginning for anything on Disney Channel, because we get a fake out.
We do get a fake out. Before that, I would like to note that this is one of the few movies that we are not watching on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
We will be using Disney Plus to watch a large variety of this. We had to find a cut of this on YouTube.
And you can buy it on YouTube, and you should. You should not watch it illegally on YouTube.
No, you should definitely buy it on YouTube, and we should definitely try to get Disney to put this on Disney Plus so that other people can do what we're doing.
It's very weird it's not.
Again, it makes sense given the weird history that this movie has, that it wouldn't be on there.
It's I guess, Hallmark property. But there's a lot of weird things about this we will not see in any other Disney Channel original movie. Like this fake out opening where you have this, we think you're in the movie.
Yeah,
family.
And the dad's the dad from Even Stevens.
Tom Bertu.
And like I was writing notes feverishly, and I'm like, these kids can't act. This is awful. And then
it was by design.
It was by design. We was just watching a really bad movie that the kids were watching. It was a really good fake out. And before that, the opening credit sequence was really good.
Oh
they
yeah,
were, like removing bandages to remove you've like
it was like
named
stop
it.
motion part of it.
Yeah.
So like you saw like the bandages and like the moving spiders, a little Egyptian flair around there. It was very neat.
It was it was really unique, and I definitely feel like a lot of there again. And we're going to probably keep going back to this. There was a lot more production value than you're normally going to see in a Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah, there certainly was. But another thing that really stood out to me about that the Fake Out movie is how gruesome the monster looks.
I know.
Like,
yeah,
that thing, it actually looks like I could imagine there being an entire series based around this monster.
And it was scarier than anything else we saw in the rest of this film.
Yeah, and like he puts like there's the knife at the garbage disposal, and he like. And it
was scary. It was legitimately terrifying for the like whole minute and 30 seconons.
Yeah, and it was a good beginning to the movie.
Really solid.
And then we meet our main characters.
Oh no. Oh.
Because
main character
Gilbert and Marshall will be our leads for this, and I love Gilbert.
Gilbert grows on you. He later on, I made some notes. He has some. He has some questionable
proclivities,
yes,
as it were,
or as does his mother.
Yeah.
But Marshall is. We're going to be PG-13 with this, or what is our rating?
I think we should try.
Okay,
I think we should try to be PG-13.
Since it's a Disney, Marshall is a jerk.
He is a really big jerk, but he is your prototypical 90s cool kid though. Like
I guess it's just he's this kid who's into horror movies. His mom is dating a new guy, and that guy is trying real hard to be like a stepdad, and he's just like chill out, man, leave me alone. You're not my dad. And it's all in like it's very 90s, I guess.
It's very 90s because but he is like a nerd, but
a horror nerd.
A horror nerd, so that cancels it out because you couldn't be in a comic books.
No, that's Gilbert.
Movies, if you're into horror movies, and that's you're fine. They're not going to beat you up and take your lunch money.
Right. Unlike Gilbert.
Yeah, you could just tell has been beat up a lot in his life.
I'm sure Marshall probably beat him up at one point.
Yeah,
even right off the bat, he says I'm not like you. I like cool things like horror movies.
And then he's like, I wanted to watch The Sound of Music. It's and then he's like,
But
then we get there's a weird line in there about but there was less Nazis in there, but there could be singing Nazis.
Oh yes, there was. Yeah, that was a weird. That was a weird line. It's just but there are Nazis in the movie, but they're singing, and he's like, okay.
It's like that. That makes it. But
does that make it better? It's he was trying to sell it it's they're Nazis in the movie, Marshall.
And they're singing. And just little glimpses into his psyche, just what we learned about Gilbert throughout the movie, because we learn a lot about Gilbert.
We do. More than the other characters, really. Yeah, he's got a messed up home life.
He's got a messed up home life and just a lot of weird interests and hobbies. But
yep,
we finally get by that. But after this,
we go to Marshall's room, and I had a note that the room was going to be creepier than anything else that showed up in the film, and I was correct.
It was I don't understand. I don't know how his mom is very cool with everything going on, but he's got a bunch of just horror memorabilia. A lot of that stuff looks really expensive. I don't think maybe Marshall's dad bought it for him or anything, but I don't know how
my real dad.
Either that or another character we'll see later on, I'm assuming, sold him the majority of the merchandise later on.
Hello, Bruce.
We'll get to Bruce later, but I imagine he sold him, because he mentions at one point in the movie, he's like, "Oh, you're my best client. Oh, you might be my only client," and you can see it through his room. His room is decked out, top to bottom.
That is where all of his allowance goes to.
Yeah, and
no Yu-Gi-Oh cards for this kid.
It's a plot point later.
It does.
Of when we get there,
it comes back. It's a nice callback. They do a good job of keeping threads in line. There's a lot more going on with this film, and a lot of Disney Channel original movies. Generally, it's 1, 2, 3 things happening. There's some minor threads that come back and pull through, and they did a really good job with all of that.
But then we get to the conflict of the movie, where we see our two leads, because apparently, Gilbert got his bike run over by Mr. Kubat, the mysterious Mr. Kubat. And Marshall's like, that happened like 2 years ago. Go get your money. And so, like, they have this brilliant idea just to go knock on Mr. Kubat's house at, like, nighttime.
There's also this, like, there's like, oh, Mr. Kubat's creepy. We leave him alone.
And we're going to go knock on his door and get money for your bike. Because Marshall's convinced that this is a great idea.
Marshall's convinced all of his ideas are great ideas.
And so they go to knock on the door, and like, the generic bad guy answers it, and he sicks his dog on them. But he's got a tight chain on it. He knows exact distance from his porch to the edge of his property.
He let that chain go just enough.
And he knew he had that, like, custom made that chain, like, he to, like, the inch. He knew how far that dog could go. But then we get our next character of the movie.
Amy,
our third,
the female protagonist, who's a tomboy / cool kid / normal kid / loser kid. She occupies
all the boxes.
Yeah, she occupies a lot of tropes.
She is like a checklist of everything. Yeah. It's like, okay, we have all these tropes, and we're gonna put them in one girl.
She also is very adept at the criminal arts.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, because we know that her mom is she's a real estate person that's like realtor.
So she's, like, good at breaking into houses that are empty and getting what she needs out of them.
Exactly.
And it's at this point we find out that Mr. Kubat died.
He just died. No.
Just that night.
And they found him, and he's like, he was making pancakes. It's like, pancake batter killed him? It's like, no, he had a heart attack. And
from the pancakes.
From the pancakes. But just up and died. Like, after the kids, they were the last people to see him alive, that he died.
That poor dog that we never see again.
We never saw we never see the dog, but
we'll come back to the rest of it. But
you have to assume that everything was cleared out, and that they took the dog to a good home.
They did. I hope so.
And that they found a better owner, because Mr. Kubat certainly is not.
No. We'll get more to that.
But so it's like,
and
okay.
then it's like, we're gonna go break into the home and, like, find the money or something for
it's never quite
Gilbert.
clear. It's like, why are we going back? Like, it's like, he's dead. And it's like, oh.
And most of his stuff has already been moved out. It's a surprisingly quick turnaround.
Yeah, they moved out a lot of stuff, and so they're gonna go break in.
And then Gilbert obviously protests because Gilbert has a brain. And then Gilbert
knows this is a bad idea. This
Gilbert
is 100%.
is teased mercilessly for doing so.
It's like, oh, you wimp chicken. And so he goes through there, and then they're pushing on a window because they're convinced that this is the way to get in the house. And they knock over like a shelf.
Yep.
Which do we see through there? Opens the sarcophagus of our other main character, Harold. And
he's a mummy.
He is a mummy.
If you didn't get that from the title Under Wraps,
it's a mummy movie.
It is a mummy movie. And no, it's not played by Doug Jones.
Oh, it could have been.
It
seems right up his alley.
It's played by Bill Fagerback, who is the voice of Patrick in.
Oh, and it's
SpongeBob
super obvious at some points, but it's funny too. He also plays.
He plays the stepdad, who we see in exactly one scene.
We've seen two.
You're right, two scenes.
We see him at the car. They're looking at him.
That's right. Yep.
Which is like, because you were convinced that they were the same person.
Again, not seeing it the first time, it was like, this is how he gets it. He broke into Mr. Kubat's house, has impersonated a mummy, and this is how he'll get a nice relationship with his stepson.
Exactly, because that's the kind of thing that the Hallmark Channel would have made at that time. It's like, I can just see the trailer as well. It's like trying to come closer.
It's like
with
Mrs. Doubtfire, just under wraps.
He's pretending to be a mummy because he knows Marshall likes horror things, and it's like, I'll be the scariest thing I can do on a budget. Just some wraps, and
just some toilet paper and some false teeth.
Exactly, and
a lot of dust.
Yep.
And then I would like to make this note here. I've noted it several times throughout it, is that Fagerback is fantastic.
He is pretty good.
He is stellar. His motion work, his voice, just everything about his performance is sensational, and I do believe that he was robbed from the Academy Award in 1998. Jack Nicholson's got nothing on Bill Fagerback.
We were looking up that year because Jack Nicholson won for As Good as It Gets, and Robin Williams won for Good Will Hunting for supporting actor. I think he would.
No, he deserves the Anthony Hopkins 15-minute of screen time Academy Award. He got more than that. He has more than 15 minutes of screen time.
Way more, and I feel like he got more screen time than Jack Nicholson got in As Good as It Gets.
Probably, and I do believe he should have at least been considered.
Something like that. But I'm looking at everything through there, and his first scene when kids are scared out of their mind,
right?
Like when it's a mummy, it's a mummy, and
that's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
The weirdest thing, he's walking around, he's oh, and he sees an open door with a bathroom, and is like, I get this.
He has not used the toilet in centuries.
And he really has to go.
He really had to go. And that's why he was acting as uptight and weird.
They have this sound effect. You hear the peeing sound effect as well. So it is implied that he is using this bathroom. This possibly thousands-of-year-old mummy
somehow has stored a bunch of liquid waste still in his body.
Because, we get very loose understanding of how this reanimation works. Because, it's just bizarre.
It's good.
For him to understand the concept of indoor plumbing.
There's a lot of concepts he understands that...
Harold is, the smartest mummy ever.
Later on, I made a note about him, opening doors, and, he's surprisingly chill with the 20th century.
Yeah, he just... He gets it, especially okay, because the kids have to they leave, but of course they're gonna come back later. Right.
And this is where we find one of the plot points about Gilbert and Gilbert's mom.
Oh yeah, we learned quite a bit about Gilbert to the point where at this point we've kind of made the consensus that he is Norman Bates.
Gilbert's mom is a serial killer.
That Gilbert's mom is a serial killer, and at some point he's going to kill her.
And then, I made a note. It's don't kill Amy.
But he is 100% Norman Bates. He's got these weird proclivities. He's got a lot of mommy issues and everything like that. And that's definitely
it's all there.
It's all there. It's just creepy at times because the more we learn about Gilbert and his mom brings dolls to the movies and buys them popcorn and I know they play this off as a joke, but that is creepy. If I saw somebody
that's
doing
my
that,
Strange Addiction level stuff.
Yeah, and if I saw a lady with dolls,
I would immediately leave that theater. I would leave feeling uncomfortable and ask for my money back
because it's just creepy But you could tell Marshall's trying to Gilbert's trying to cover for that. This is totally normal, 100%.
It's normal stuff. Every parent does weird things.
Yeah, but
my mom kills people.
His mom does.
And then there's the great line about the Olsen twins.
Oh, the weirdest thing, because that they make fun of him because he saw the Olsen twins movie.
Yep. I don't remember which one or if they mention which Olsen twin movie that he watched, but it's oh no, cool kids don't watch the Olsen twins. And then that made me flash back to my childhood.
you had some Vietnam flashbacks of
where my parents would put on Olsen twin movies, and I as a kid am just captivated by it, and then I don't see my parents for an hour. They were doing it.
And that now it's got to make some strange relationships with those particular movies. You gotta puts New York Minute and in a lot of different contexts than it had previously.
I had never thought about it until we watched this film and that line came up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And now it's time for us to meet one of our other, I guess, a supporting character. He's not a main character.
Yeah.
And that's Bruce.
Bruce, the guy who owns the horror store, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a horror store.
It's not even like a Spirit of Halloween, where he sells costumes. It's just I'm to sell creepy stuff.
Halloween in January, how droll.
And he just has a bunch of old kind of like it kind of sounds like he started as like an antique dealer, but just kind of like I'm gonna lean into creepy things because he has like these old books that he pulls out to explain to them about what mummies are,
right?
And we somehow work our way through how he came to be, and I guess later we find out in the museum the prophecy of how he's got to get back at midnight, and it's very not well explained. Like
it isn't. I just made a note that we just did not do any favors for paganism. We just kind of swept all of that under the rug. That and Egyptology. It's just like
it had to be like a certain like alignment. And, like the moon had to be out on a special evening.
Couches.
Oh, it's fine.
Is it fine? Okay.
Yeah. Right. And it had to be a certain alignment and everything. The stars had to align perfectly for this mummy to be awoken.
Yeah.
But it had to be back
by midnight.
By midnight on the special night, which we're just going to Halloween as a special night.
Yeah, and we have no time frame established. Unlike other movies, especially Disney Channel original movies, where we're like, oh, Halloween is the premise of this film.
Yeah, we have to assume this takes place over like 3 to 4 days.
We do. It's a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's very 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 fast turnover. But now they have to realize they have to go get Harold. They have to. Because that's what they've named him
right,
Harold.
They've named him Harold.
Like, it's like, oh.
And they go back to the basement.
But he's gone.
And he's not there.
We have a mummy's day out. He is just exploring the town.
And again, opening doors, being totally chill with things that are just... They're foreign to him. None of this. He didn't open doors. They didn't have handles.
He goes through the drive-thru.
He does go through the drive-thru.
And the girl at the drive-thru window can understand...
the order or something. She makes up an order. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you want orange soda? It's like, oh, diet orange soda. And because you get it, because like they don't have a camera. Like most fast food restaurants now have like a camera on the drive-thru, but they have like a pump system that when you drive over it, it had like a bell.
Yep.
And I
guess the old-timey way of doing it.
I guess that and I haven't thought about that before, but. Yeah, so he just runs and gets that orange soda, and he just is a mummy on the run. Then he goes to a hospital.
On season 12 of Grey's Anatomy.
Like, he just ends up at the hospital, and then, like, everybody in this hospital is incredibly distracted. Like, they have, like, balloons, and they have, like...
Nobody notices him. He, like, goes through the entire hospital.
But he gets part of his bandages stuck in the door. And so he's walking forward and, like, unraveling... like
bits of himself,
and like he gets the desk. And he's like, ring. He knows to ring the bell. To get attention.
Obviously, that's how healthcare worked in the
loves this buzzer.
Ancient Egypt.
He's just slamming this buzzer, and then they're like,
oh, the lady's not even looking. It's just like handing him paperwork. Just like she's too busy. Nobody is paying attention to.
And he's so adept at everything else, but when it comes to the clipboard, he gets his finger stuck.
He catches his finger into it.
And like you think, because like we've seen him do crazy things.
He's opened doors. Like, he's gone through a drive-through.
But he sometimes can't figure out the spring on this clipboard and gets his finger stuck. And then finally they notice him and they're like, this man has no pulse. Get the paddles. And they zap him, and you can see like burn marks on his chest. And I feel like they go away at some point. I feel like they're not there.
Oh, they're not there at the end of the film. No.
After that, like
he went to another bathroom, freshened up.
Yeah, but
all right, let's.
I feel like finally at this point the kids catch up to him. They catch up, and then they're like. It's like, oh, well, we got to get you to blend in. And what do they do to get him to blend in? And they buy him, like, the cheapest clothes they can. And it's like, as they go into this department store, it's like, give me the cheapest outfit you can. And then he just looks like, just like a 70s pimp.
Yep.
Like, he's got, like, the hat with the feather and, like, the weird polyester, but he's wearing a mask. So, because you gotta hide the face.
Right. Isn't there a moment where, like, somebody else, like, walks past and, like, yeah, you got game.
Yeah, and then, but she sees, like, the face, and then she screams. Like, ah! But, like, they got him the cheapest outfit they could, and which was 70s pimp. But they're just acclimating him into society, you know?
Which he already was doing a pretty good job with.
Yeah,
Right?
they didn't need he didn't need their help.
No.
He was doing all right, and finally we got to reel him back in, and it was just bizarre that they had to kind of like figure out what they're gonna do with him, because he finds his way to the museum because he sees like on a bus.
Yep.
He sees the bus go by and it has like the picture, because apparently there's an Egypt exhibit at the museum, very convenient, and so he's like, he wanders his way to the museum and then gets to the point where he finds
another sarcophagus
with a lady mummy,
and that's his girlfriend.
but they never had sex.
No,
because
he's celibate.
And they mentioned that at various points in the movie. They had to like bring that up. Like they kept bringing it up.
They did more than they needed to.
Yeah,
like, you just mention it once, it's okay. But like 3 or 4 times, you're like, why are you making this a point?
Well, apparently Harold was like a guard, and like and when people were buried, they buried their guards stuff with them, and that's. But no, and then I don't know how they got to that point, because it's just crazy. But they finally they have to reel him back in. They got to bring him home.
Right. So they got to bring his sarcophagus to this museum by midnight, so he can be reunited with his girlfriend, who they celibate with.
But that's not for another day and a half at this point.
Right.
So we got to bring Harold home. We got to bring him back to.
Oh yeah, he's got to go home with the family.
Yeah, we got to bring him back to what's his name's house? Not Gilbert.
Marshall's house.
Marshall's house. Of course, they got to, because we saw earlier the foreshadowing. We see all the horror things in his room, so like
He just
they
fits
get him
right
back.
in,
Get him up, and like Gilbert's mom turns around and is like, "Oh," it's like, "Oh, where did you get this one?" I was like, "Just recently." And it's like, "Oh, well, it smells around here," because they make note of his stench, because you got to imagine he smells terrible.
I'm assuming so. Yes.
So they make note of that at various points of how bad he smells, and it's just crazy that the setup, that how we can hide this mummy and the rest of his horror accoutrements.
Yes.
But then we gotta have a Halloween party the next day.
A weird Halloween party where it is adult and children Halloween party at the school.
Yeah, it's at the school.
Like, I believe every other one is like, oh, this is just an adult Halloween party. Kids not allowed. This one is like, now the kids and parents and teachers are all there. Like, at one point, Gilbert, like, yells at the principal. And
at first we have to go find the sarcophagus, because
it
was not in the house. Because the house was cleared out.
Yep.
So, under mysterious circumstances. And so they have to go spy on this warehouse, because this little kid who comes in at 2 points to deliver very important information is like, I saw them take a sarcophagus to that building. Is like, thank you, exposition kid. And then I keep forgetting, that's how they know where it's at, because exposition kid comes in. And he's like, yeah, I saw them take the sarcophagus to 800. It's like he's got like written down an address. And
800 Avenue. The phone number is 555-555-5555.
Yeah.
Extension 5.
And then they know this kid just comes into like, it's like, I know where it went. And so they have to go spy on this
It's like
area.
Tuxedo Mask. It's just like, here's some information. Goodbye.
Exactly. So they go to this warehouse where they're spying on operation, because they see the sarcophagus, and they get inside, because Harold has ungodly strength that we've seen. We've seen him like
he has mummy strength. We've seen him do stuff. At this point, he just tosses Marshall over.
He just launches him over this fence, and he gets all over there, and like, of course, Gilbert wants to chicken out. Gilbert's like, I don't want to do this.
No.
But that he gets bullied.
He gets bullied into doing it
by Amy and Marshall. They're like, "Oh, you got to do this. We're gonna tell your mom."
Right? We'll tell everybody your mom murders people. And he's like,
exactly.
Well, can't do that.
They've got him at this point, so they're like, "Okay, you're gonna go." And then
go into the warehouse, and we find the villain of this piece.
We realize Mr. Kubat
is alive.
He faked his death because he was in trouble with the government and paying taxes.
That's why you pay your taxes, kids.
And so he ends up at this point where we just see him but they've managed to escape.
They have, yes.
But one of the bad guys is like, we just saw a couple kids skulking around here. It's like, were they with a mummy? They're like,
flashback to the party.
Yep.
Where they conveniently lose Harold amongst all of the stuff going on at the Halloween party.
Yes, because they're really trying to get like Bruce's help.
Yes,
they're trying to get Bruce.
They need to get Bruce to help out.
He drives a hearse.
Yes, it'll help.
Getting Harold back to the museum, getting him in the sarcophagus. But of all this, like we see all these crazy costumes, and we see Harold gets approached by a lady,
a Cleopatra,
and
she is thirsty.
She is all about that mummy.
Yeah.
She wants him.
Yeah.
And she just keeps like, oh, that scent. I used to hate it, but it smells great on you. They haven't had it in years.
She wanted that mummy to be her daddy.
And then but at this weird party, we do see like other guy dressed up as mummy as well.
The principal is dressed up as a mummy. And then somebody else is too. There's 3 people dressed up as a mummy.
People dressed up like, but we see
another woman is like, that's my husband.
Oh man, we see we didn't even mention Gilbert's costume for the party.
Oh,
Gilbert comes out with the feather boa, like a pink feather boa, and these silver sunglasses, and he's like, who am I? It's like, I'm Dennis Rodman. I'm like, man, this is so 90s. It's so 90s.
He looks more like Elton John, but it's good.
It does. I guess the sunglasses are more of a Dennis Rodman thing.
For sure.
But gosh, we at least like the principal of the school is dressed up as a mummy as well,
and he's just like berating him as like, Harold, we gotta get out of here. He's like, listen to me, and he starts speaking back, and Gilbert's not realizing it.
Yeah, he's just like he punches back at him. Yeah. He's like, we gotta go. It's like, sir, it's like,
Gilbert, I'm your principal.
Gilbert, I'm your principal. You're gonna get punished for this. And then we start in like a weird love triangle because he thinks it's the principal flirting with this other woman, and she's like, he's mine. It's like, he doesn't want you anymore. He's mine.
And then he shows up.
It's like, who are you? And then take the bandages off because his face apparently is the scariest thing. Because if anyone sees like his mouth, we
see his mouth. We just see like the bit between his eyes and his nose, and that's so horrific that it causes everybody at the party to panic, and just everything's going crazy. And then the bad guys show up amongst the chaos.
Oh yes, definitely.
And they are trying to hunt down the kids and Harold
because they're on their tracks. Like they figured out that they're going to that Halloween party somehow, and I guess it's a good place to hide a mummy.
Yeah, I guess so.
They do get Harold at this point. They get Harold.
They get Harold because Harold sacrifices himself by holding the door.
Yep.
Hold the door.
Holds the door, and the bad guys get Harold, and because then they realize it's like, oh man, we were going to sell the sarcophagus and make money, but
now
we could sell a live mummy to somebody and make trillions.
Yep.
Like we're challenging notions of like afterlife, and we make so much more money instead of selling this dirty old sarcophagus.
It's the whole like monologue from Kevin Flynn in Tron, and it's just like math, science, religion. It's all changed. Biodigital jazz, man.
Exactly, and it's and we have these startling revelations that like there's like reanimation and all these other things, but. Of course, we have a go rescue Harold sequence.
Yeah, we've got to go rescue Harold. And we finally convinced Bruce to do it. He wasn't going to do it, but
no, they got him. They got him on their side.
They got him on their side, and he takes his hearse with like that. Just has props and stuff in it. It's just
because he that's what he does.
That's his job.
They're like, we're gonna create an elaborate ruse to get Harold back, and so we see Amy come out. She has like an eyeball bulging out, and she's like,
but before this, Gilbert has decided he's going to stay in the car. That he's had enough. He's too scared to do any of this.
He's put his foot down.
He's at his limit, and this is where like the first and maybe only time we see Marshall try to be like, he's like, dude, it's okay, I get it, it's cool. I think that's all he says. It's like, it's okay, man. it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And then they just leave him in the hearse.
Yeah. And they go on their elaborate
display. Amy runs out like, oh, you gotta help me. My eyeball's coming out. And then
true like Rey Mysterio, just like full prop eyeball falling out.
And then like Bruce does like, they like knock him down and then Bruce is like, body slam.
And then like, I don't know, because he's got like a skeleton suit on because like he's like making all this money at this Halloween party, but he still has this costume on.
Right.
Like, but then...
And then they use fake organs to tie up the henchmen.
Yeah, because they have like intestines. They get the test, but then we have to go find Mr. Kubot. They finally find out he's alive.
Yes.
It's at this point.
The kids know. We, the audience, have figured it out.
Yeah, because they're like, then he reveals his master plan about tax fraud.
Yeah, and it's like he should have just paid his taxes.
Yeah, he's like, I was just gonna go lay low for a while and then come back and sell things in a while, but I have a more interesting thing I could probably do with my time.
Right. And then the day is lost. They have everything they need.
And he's got a gun.
And then Gilbert drives his car into the building, and they're pretty far into the building at this point.
And like
if the car made it all the way here.
He full on Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
Into the building, and then the wall gets part of it. But then, like, the roof collapses.
But then the roof collapses, and it collapses on the bad guys, but it also collapses on the car where Gilbert's at.
And then everybody's all concerned. It's like, oh, no, Gilbert!
And he's like, I'm cool,
guys. I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Just don't. Like, he's, offended.
He's
like, what are you worried about? Like, I'm fine.
And then, once again... Mr. Kubot gets up with his gun, and he's like, you're going to give me the mummy, you're going to get out of here, I'm tired of this. And then Marshall's like, you can't do nothing. And he's like, I'll totally do something. And then Harold jumps into the action, grabs him, and throws him 6 to 10 feet.
He throws him through a wall.
Through the wall.
He just goes full mummy strength right through the wall with him. And
that's actually how it's solved. That's the end of it. We don't see Mr. Kubot again. The next scene is them moving his coffin into and while all of this, Harold is running out of strength and energy.
Yeah, because he's getting weaker.
It's getting weaker.
He needs to get back to like the afterlife.
Right.
And
so they move his sarcophagus into the museum. We don't exactly explain how
hearse.
Yeah, but we don't explain how they got it all the way through the museum.
It's at nighttime, because we've seen them break into the museum once.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess they
almost get caught, but they don't for some reason.
I guess everybody's at the Halloween party.
Everybody's just out doing whatever, and so they get him back, and it's a tragic goodbye.
Yeah, Harold reveals a necklace that brings back his lover, and they like hold a hand for a second.
He gets to like
he
first base.
Yeah, he reanimates his love for like a second, and is that like really worth it to her? It's like, oh, I came back. Goodbye.
It is for him. It's
all for him. It's not
all for Harold at this point.
She was going to break up with him.
Yeah. And so all of this happens. Then finally,
then we fade out, and then there's like a split second where you're like, "Is this it?" It's like because it just fades to black, and you're like, "Are we just going straight to credits?" But no, we do get resolution
because we close out like of the character arcs here, because
Marshall's packaging up all of his horror stuff, which is really bad for Bruce. They mention in the movie that like Marshall is Bruce's only customer.
Yeah.
So Bruce is going to go out of business now that Marshall's not interested into horror stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I guess maybe I just grew out of it. And she's like, okay. And he's like, bye now. And she's like, hey, do you really love Ted? I guess is the guy's name.
Yeah, it's like Ted.
Do you really love Ted? And she's like, yeah, I really do. And he's like, okay, then you should marry him. Don't let anybody stand in the way of true love. And she's like, that's a big character growth. Where do you get it?
That's like, a big idea from you, Marshall.
It's like, I learned it from a friend, I guess.
Wistfully.
at this point, he's not come to grips with Ted. He's just like, don't let me stand in the way. I'm still gonna be a pill.
But see, he had to still hold up that he's a I'm too cool for this type deal.
I guess, and then he's just like, promise him to lighten up. He's way too nice. And like,
and then we have a thread that has been subtle throughout the movie with Amy, because like there was one point where like. Because with the Mary Kate and Ashley thing, we forgot to mention that, like, because she gets like hit on by a random guy, and
Marshall gets offended.
Marshall's like, "Oh, what was that?" She's like, "Oh, it's just some guy. He's a crush on me," and she's just like just slides it off, and is like, "Oh, but he's seen the Mary Kate and Ashley movie 3 times." But yeah, that's where that happened. But like, it's slowly been hinting that they kind of have a thing for each other, because they're like, I'm cool as well, but I'm too cool for you, but I'm too cool for you.
So then Marshall like tucks his shirt in,
because she comes to the door.
Yeah, pulls back his hair. Amy's wearing a dress.
Yeah,
and like, oh, that dress looks nice on you, and she's like, thanks. And then, of course, he's just like, last time I saw that dress, it was on my grandma when we buried her. Oh!
They got to diss each other.
They got to diss each other, because that's how it is. And then Gilbert's like, oh, guys, I thought things were going to be different. I'm glad they're the same.
Yep. It's like, oh, this is the way it should be.
And then I'm struck by the last line of the film is it's just like, yeah, the monster eats people, and Marshall's like, I think that's a cultural stereotype. Fade out. That's the last line of the movie.
Because they're going to go see a movie.
Because they're going to go see a horror movie.
As a date.
With Gilbert as a third wheel who might end up murdering one or both of them by the end of the night.
Yep. And that's the movie. And
that's
in a
the
nutshell.
movie. In a nutshell.
Oh man!
Obviously, spoilers for 1997.
Yeah, but I still love it. I still like. I maybe I'm nostalgic for it, but I think it's still as good as I remember it being.
It's a solid film. I definitely, right off the bat, it's probably better than at least 40 to 50% of the other things that come out after it. Maybe. Again, we'll find out through this series.
Yeah, because we're planning on ranking, because like this one stands at 1, but as we
go,
feel like, okay, what is this better than? What is it worse than?
Right.
And where it fits in the ordering, because hopefully we'll be able to order them all by the end of it.
That's definitely the plan. At this point, it's a poor man's version of Harry and the Hendersons.
But they throw in E.T. at some points as well. They mention E.T.
Well, they mention it E.T. and again I made a note, and it's like, can Disney legally do that? But it's not Disney, it's Hallmark.
It's Hallmark.
And here we come to the weirdest part about this. This is the only original movie that has actual licensed songs.
There are licensed, because like
there's 2 of them.
Two of them in particular, but the more particular
there's only 2.
Yeah. But the All by Myself by Eric Carmen is like used in the middle, because like they're in Gilbert's room, and like Harold gets a hold of his boombox, and he's playing
different songs, and like don't like it. It's like All by Myself, and he's like,
and because we also see that he has an understanding of romantic comedy movies, because they mention a bunch of them that Harold was watching on TV and was crying so much that he had to use a bed sheet. That like the Mummy rules just don't like
they don't make any sense.
He understands everything. Like he is so acclimated to the 20th century at this point, and
he understood indoor plumbing.
Right off the bat.
How to open doors.
But no, like, and we get it again at the Halloween party. They're playing that song. Like, that's not a very Halloween party song.
No.
Like, it's not a slow dance song.
And nobody's slow dancing either. They're all having a good time. And it's like, all by myself.
It's just, because, like, you know that somebody paid for that song. Like, we're going to get the full mileage out of it.
Put it in every scene.
And the other one was, I thought it was Jungle Boogie, but I don't think it was.
No, it's, is it Let's Get Down Tonight or Let's Groove Tonight? It's one of those 2.
Yeah, it's a 70s funk song, but like it's shocking just to hear, actually, because especially as the later movies will go on, we'll just see the most generic music, like stock music imaginable. Having these movies have a licensed soundtrack almost, I mean, sure, it has its various other generic stock music, but it's just kind of jarring hearing like actual recognizable songs and in one of these Disney Channel original movies. And
when even like Onward doesn't have any licensed songs in it, and like Barley's supposed to be this rock star guy, and he's listening to all these rock tapes, but it's all just generic rock music, and that is a made for like massive blockbuster film.
And Disney could have afforded it if they wanted it.
Yeah,
like
I expect the Disney Channel budget not to do that, but here's something that Under Wraps has over Onward.
Of all these, because that's a really major knock of Onward. Like the music wasn't good,
right? Because they just did generic rock music. If you had just put like a steady track of 80s stuff in the background and paid the $5 you needed to do it, since you've already done it in 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, like it.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it's like, especially get it for that movie, and like it. But hearing these and this Disney Channel original movie is jarring. It is. As B grade as the songs are, they are recognizable, and you could definitely tell the producers paid for it, and they're going to get their money's worth.
They are going to get every penny from it.
Yep. Because I feel like they played All by Myself in the credits as well. But
they probably did.
And after all that, it's a fun movie. Like it's a good one to call the first Disney Channel original movie.
It is. It is a solid like bar on what to be better than, and that's pretty much it.
And we have good kid actors, because I mean none of them are really going on to anything else. I looked them up. Nobody in here other than Bill Fagerbakke, but Fagerbakke. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I
think it's just Fagerbakke.
Fager. Okay, I apologize. Let's try to say his name correctly, but
he's obviously had a prolific career as a voice actor for SpongeBob. He's also in
12 episodes of How I Met Your Mother as Marshall's dad.
He's also one of the incompetent guards in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, that makes sense, because voice actor.
He's the guard that Captain, is it Phoebus? I mean, Sun God sticks his horse on. He sits on him.
Yes. But no, I guess he's actually credited in the opening sequences as they play him as Harold.
Yes.
But they don't call him as Ted.
No, they do. He's in the ending credits. He's credited as both.
Well, the ending credits, but the opening credits.
Right.
It says as Harold.
Right.
But you get that the second time around. Seeing that enough times. But no, it's a nice solid. It's a good, like, we don't have enough mummy things.
We really don't,
like,
especially
like many,
all ages stuff. We have
Dr.
plenty of vampire stuff.
Like, I feel like we have so much other stuff. We don't have enough mummy things,
right?
And it's good. It's good to have something else like that to add to the spoopy canon.
It is.
And like I said, they used to play this movie every Halloween on Disney Channel,
and somehow I missed it. I managed to see every other one.
Mm-hmm. But it became a tradition, like, to do these Halloween type movies, because they would do one every year.
Yeah,
up to this point,
and it was like the after school tradition for us. It's like some of my fondest memories are like fall nights where we're coming back, we finish up our homework, and boom, it's time to watch Halloween Town or Phantom of the Megaplex.
Mm-hmm. But this is weird, because like this came out in 1997, and there would be a full 8 months before the next movie we talk about.
And that might not sound like a lot, but if anybody knows the release schedule of Disney Channel original movies,
back to back,
it is it's like
they were cranking them out. Like, I don't know how they made so many movies so quickly. Like, how the production schedule had to line up, like how many studios they had working in all of this, and so many different locations. It's absolutely insane that they were able to crank them out so fast. But yeah, so final thoughts. Give it a letter grade. We're going through A through F. I give this one a solid A-.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that is high praise.
It is high praise. I think this deserves an A-. I think there are certainly some problems with it, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and it's... I think it stacks up well with the rest of canon, because we're going to grade them essentially I remember kind of grading on a curve, and we're grading them in terms of course, it's not an A- movie overall, but in terms of Disney Channel original movies, right,
this movie is going to get that rank. We will then rank them amongst all of them once we're done.
Yes, I give this one an A-.
I give it a B. Just solid B. No plus, no minus, just B. It might be I have no nostalgia for this, but the movie has a lot of production value that the rest of these films are not going to have.
Yep.
Which goes it really does go a long way. And Bill Fagerbakke is just
he's very good
as
Harold.
Very good. he carries the thing, and I'm gonna say now it's
Very
getting
emotive.
it's getting a higher grade than the next one.
Oh, definitely. Oh man. We'll get there, but you gotta check out next time. We'll make sure you're subscribed to the channel, Spellbinding Circle Productions, and we're gonna try to put this on all major podcasting platforms as well. So we'll have a video version if you want to see our faces reacting to things, and we'll have an audio version as well. So we'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you next time.